Hi guys, my name is Ernest and I would like to welcome each and every one of us to my channel of Ernest Sciences and Mathematics TV channel. Today I'm going to look at a concept in biology that is going to basically deals with the anatomy of the skeletal system. Earlier on we had looked at the basic structure of the human support system, and we tried to look at various functions that it plays in order to facilitate the concept of support and movement. Apart from other factors that we had mentioned, of course, which basically falls under the category of functions of the skeletal system. We had mentioned a few of these specific functions, which of course we had done in our first video on basically what we referred to as an introductory part of the support and system and movement support system, and of course rather support and movement in man. So therefore, today we're going to look at this specific topic in trying to see various parts and the terms that are used in this skeletal system. And that basically consists of the anatomy of the skeletal system and the various features of the bones that you're going to be encountering across our discussions. So therefore, I'm going to just mention a few. I've said that this part of the human support system is made up of the skeleton, which basically we refer to as the skeletal system. We had mentioned there are different parts of the skeletal system in a human, and this of course had used various charts in trying to create a contrast between features of various bones that are found in the human skeletal system. Now, I'd listed that there are two basic parts that we had already considered in our first video, and that is the appendicular and the axial skeletal part of the human support system. And basically, I'm going to use these two images just for the rough mention of what we are going to discuss. Now, basically, apart from support and movement, we said that the human skeletal system protects various parts of the delicate organs like the lungs, the brain that is embedded in the skull, and other organs like the kidney, of course, which we're going to see later. And this plays a vital role in trying to ensure that there's, of course, a normal functioning of this particular system. Now, apart from that, we also mentioned that it acts as a storage for important minerals like calcium and phosphate, which basically are going to take place in various biological functions, insofar as, of course, support for life is concerned. And therefore, we are going to see that these various minerals are going to act as, or rather, act as a storage, or rather, this particular skeletal system is going to act as a storage, as well as providing the condition for electrolytic balance insofar as homeostasis and various other parts, processes of the body are concerned. Apart from that, we say that the cell formation, the process of cell formation, which we had referred to as homeostasis, also occurs inside the bones. And of course, this leads to the formation of blood cells, which we had mentioned in one of our videos on the functions of the skeletal system. We're also going to see that the bone tissues also are going to be facilitated in removing the heavy metals and other foreign materials from the blood, of course, which is also a vital role for the skeletal system. And this is going to assist us in trying to appreciate the different parts of this specific skeletal system that we're going to see, which is going to, of course, assist us appreciate the various functions that I've mentioned. So therefore, we're going to look at these specific terms and what they imply. And of course, I'm going to use a series of illustrations in order to achieve this specific goal. Now, in this case, we are going to look at different sections of various bones of the vertebral system, or rather the skeletal system. And this is going to assist us in trying to, of course, understand the various anatomical terms that are used in this specific case. And therefore, from this one, I've given the example for one of the skeletal bones, which are referred to as the femur. And this, of course, forms the lower part of the skeletal system. And these particular terms that we're going to use, of course, are going to be given as labels on these various parts of the bone. And we're going to see some parts being referred to as the uppermost part of this is referred to as the head. And basically for the head, this often rounded end that is found in some bones, like the example, the femur that I've given. And these are going to be used, of course, in articulation with other parts of the body. Of course, we are going to appreciate that one when we are discussing about the concept of ball and socket joints. And this part of the body that is the head, of course, is going to assist us in understanding its functions in a broader way. And there's this next part that has been given a ring, this specific part, which we are going to refer to as a neck, which basically is a constriction that is found between the head and this other part of the bone that we are going to refer to as the body. Therefore, this body is going to make up the main part, and this is the part that is joining between the head and the body, which we refer to as the neck, which basically is a constriction that we have said between the head and the body. And we're going to see that various other features are going to be, of course, displayed in this particular part of the vertebral column that we're going to, of course, name as we go by. So I'm going to look at illustration, and this basically is going to be the illustration of the lower part of the skeletal system, which is a pelvic girdle. And this particular part that I'm trying to talk about is basically a bend that is found on this lower part of the anterior superior view of this pelvic girdle, which is known as subibic angle. So we're going to come across various terms or terms which are accompanying this specific part of the skeletal system that we're referring to as an angle, which basically refers to a bend that we're going to see being displayed in various bones, that like the anterior angle that we're going to see being displayed in the upper part of the skeletal system of the bone that we refer to as the scapula. So therefore, apart from that, also we are going to see other terms that are used in order to show what we refer to as the ramus. The ramus basically is part of the mandible of this cranium, which is the uppermost part of the skeletal system that we had discussed in an exclusive video in our introductory part. So basically, this ramus is a branch of the body that is, of course, located at this specific part. And basically, it's going to act as a center for muscle attachments and other functions that we're going to see later, which basically falls under the category of support in this skeletal system. So therefore, next we're going to look at these small round articular surfaces that we're going to, of course, refer to as the epicondyles. And this basically are found in the humerus part of the skeletal system. And they're going to also provide the support system with the function of allowing movement at specific angles. And therefore, this is going to play a vital role in ensuring that the concept of movement and locomotion is supported. Then we have a different part of the skeletal system, which consists of small flattened surfaces, which of course are going to act as articulation points for other bones of the skeletal system, especially which are being displayed as I'm giving from this illustration in the vertebral column over the cervicothoracic and the lumbar vertebrae. So therefore, these parts are referred to as the facets. We can see from this particular point, of course, we have what we call the anterior articular facets of the rib articulation, and this is going to articulate to the rib bones of the upper part of the skeletal system. And therefore, these parts are going to assist in basically articulation, as we said, which is going to be one of the functions that is going to assist in trying to put up the skeletal system together and in shape. And then next, of course, we're going to look at various parts which consist of ridges, projections, openings, and basically some of the depressions that we're going to see being displayed apart from what we have discussed. And this part of the bones that we're going to see is like the spinous process, which are acting as points for muscle attachment and various functions, of course, in the body. As well, we can be able to say that this gives the body the shape, which, of course, these are the projections which are going to assist in trying to, of course, perform that specific functions. Now, I've talked about various projections, and these projections, like this particular part of the cervical and the thoracic vertebrae, and also the lumbar vertebrae, which are known as the spinous processes, of course, refers to as this basically prominent projections, which are going to, of course, act as points for muscles attachment, as I have mentioned. Now, from this display of the humerus part of this skeletal system, we're going to see some small rounded palms referred to as the tubercles. And in this case, of course, from these upper parts, we can see the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle at this specific point. For the larger parts of course, I've mentioned this as smaller palm. For the larger parts of such as similar features, we're going to see them being referred to as tuberosities, which are basically larger than the tubercles that we're going to see being displayed in this specific part. Now, for the femur, which I had mentioned earlier, we're going to see that it's going to consist of what we refer to as the trochanter, which basically I can be able to illustrate from this specific point, which is a greater trochanter, lesser trochanters, which are shown on that specific parts, which basically are the tuberosities on the proximal femur, as I just illustrated above. And this particular part, of course, I had mentioned about the concept of the epicondyle. And this epicondyle from this particular prefix refers to as upon the condyle, and therefore this is going also to be part of the features that we are going to see fall under some of the projections that we're going to see on the bones. Of course, we're also going to look at various parts of the skeletal system, which consists of what we refer to as openings. And this I'm going to use an example of the vertebral bones that are used in our first illustration. But of course, this is going to be more elaborate if we try to look at the superior view and the lateral view of this specific vertebrae. So we are going to see this specific part that is known as the foramina, which basically refers to as openings. And in this case, for the vertebrae, this is going to assist in trying to enable the passage of what we refer to as the spinal cord in this specific allowance. So therefore, we're going to see various parts of the body, like the, of course, the cranium, consisting of these parts that we refer to as foramen, which basically assist in the passage of our nerves and blood vessels and other functions that we're going to, of course, see later. Now we're going to see some also of the openings, like the acoustic, the external acoustic meters, which basically are going to be tunnels or canals that we're going to see are being displayed in different parts of the skeletal system. And this is as well going to assist in the passage of course, various parts of the vital organs, or allowance for access to various organs that are found inside these specific parts of the human skeletal system. And lastly, we're going to look at what we have referred to as various depressions. Of course, we have mentioned the concept of various features, which consist of ridges, projections, and openings, and the depressions that we're going to see being displayed in various parts of the human support system. And this, of course, are going to be having different functionalities and, of course, roles they are going to play in order to facilitate this concept of support and movement. Now, this consists of notches and the grooves that we're going to see being displayed in various parts of the skeletal system, like the radial notch of the ulna, and we can see the trochlear notch that is found, also referred to as the semilunar notch of this part of the ulna and the radius structure of the skeletal system. Now, these are going to assist in trying to identify various parts of articulations and the functions of our different parts of the bone or allowances, which are going to assist, of course, cater for other parts of the body, like the attachment of muscles, and also allowing for, of course, movement of various parts of the body and some other biological, of course, processes which are going to support the essence of life. Now, in this case, of course, as we have said, this basically consisted of a discussion on the various anatomical structures of the human support system. And this is going to assist us in trying to interpret some of the terms that we may come across, like the foramina, fossa, sinus, condyle, or the tuberosities that we have mentioned. Of course, to mention, but the last ones, of course, I'd mentioned about. This one is work in conjunction with the various functions of the support system that we had mentioned. And this is going to assist us, of course, in trying to describe the various parts of the human support system. Whenever we come across similar terms, then therefore we're going to, of course, have an hint that these are going to play particularly similar or other related functions. So for this case, I just stop at this particular point. So kindly check on our description boxes for various videos which are basically going to entail the human support system and other processes which are related. Of course, we'll do these various parts of the human support system in other exclusive videos, especially in a discussion on these different parts of the bones, which are going to assist us understand more on their various anatomical features and the functions. So I'll stop there for today. Kindly check on our description box, subscribe to our channel so that we can be getting more updates on our various uploads. So thanks. God bless you. Bye.